So Deshaun Watson will miss the remainder of the season with a Achilles injury, a torn Achilles to be exact. Just reading a quick part in the CBS Sports article. Just Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson went down in a non-contact injury late in the second quarter against the Cincinnati Bengals. The team shortly ruled out Watson for the rest of the game with an Achilles injury, like we said. Following the game, Browns coach Kevin Stefanski said team fear Watson would be lost for the season. Quote, "Let's get to the test first," Stefanski told reporters. But that's what it looks like. Dorian Thompson-Robinson replaced Watson under center after Watson was carted off the field. However, Thompson-Robinson suffered a finger injury, which thrust emergency quarterback Jameis Winston in during the final moments of the 21-14 loss. Kind of my prediction. Not it's a huge prediction, but I do expect Jameis Winston to be the starter from here on out, unless they go out. That's maybe a trade. I don't know what that be. Maybe Joe Flacco, but we look at the situation with Anthony Richardson. They might want to keep him. Another one out there too is Ryan Tannehill is still a free agent, so maybe that could be a possibility another outlet if they wanted to go that direction. But for my prediction, I do expect them, and maybe they should too, is to stick with Jameis Winston and kind of ride him out for the remainder of the season. I mean, it's a lost year. They're 1-6, nothing to be expected unless Jameis Winston just turns it around and just starts basically goes on an undefeated streak from here on out. I doubt it, but I think Jameis Winston is the best option for the Browns at this moment. Now getting into Deshaun Watson. Nothing new that I haven't said already, but this is once again another horrible chapter in the Deshaun Watson era in Cleveland. It's astonishing of how it keeps just getting, we keep hitting a lower floor each time. It can't get worse than this, and it does. I want to once again show everybody, like many countless times, the contract that he was given. He was given 5 years, $230 million, and he has done absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Let's look at his stats for his time in Cleveland. In 3 years, he's only played 18 games. He's essentially played the 17 game season now. When you look at the weeks, 18 weeks, he has basically played one full season in 3 years. He's only averaging perfectly, as you see on screen, 6 games a year. 6 games in 2022 because of 11 game suspension. 6 games in 2023 because of the season-ending shoulder injury against the Ravens. And now 6 games because of a season-ending Achilles tear against the Cincinnati Bengals. So in 3 years and 18 starts, he is 9-9, over 3,200 passing yards, a 60% completion percentage, 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He has basically been an average starter at best, and that may be generous to call him that. But when you look at the money, once again, what he's getting paid, it's not good enough, obviously. And this will go down as arguably, if not the worst deal in history. If you want to combine, everything, the trade, you can argue is one of the worst trades in history. You could certainly argue the contract is one of the worst contracts given out in history as well. And it is. I mean, it just every single year Deshaun Watson, the Browns just keep finding a way to hit a lower floor. It has been. It's been horrendous. You look at Pro Football Focus, and I think, to be honest, I know it's a much deeper dive into the grading process, but you look at his ratings, I think they're pretty generous with a couple of games. I mean, he has a couple of 70 ratings. He has an 86 in week 4, but the rest seem pretty fair. 59 in week 1, 51.5 in week 3. Yeah, a 40 in week 5, a 49.6 in week 6, and he somehow got a 78.4 against the Cincinnati Bengals today. You look at his season thus far, 63.4 completion percentage, over 1,100 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It is not good enough. It is not. And the worst part of all this is that they are stuck with him. They cannot get rid of him. I know I tweeted out earlier, could this be the final time we see Deshaun Watson? When you look at the dead cap situation, I don't see how any way they can get out of it. If they can somehow magically pull, move some things around, move some numbers around, and make it easier, make it bearable to be in a situation like the Broncos were with their dead cap situation with Russell Wilson. Another one's gonna be apples to oranges, in terms of the positions. I get it, but the Bills with the Stephon Diggs as well. You look at the money he's getting. The dead cap is immense. 172.7 in 2025. $99.8 in 2026. It is basically set up for he will finish out the contract. He will finish out the deal and get the money. And the worst part is, too, the cap hit. He is set to make almost $73 million in 2025 and 2026. And after that, he will be an unrestricted free agent. And once it gets to that point, they are cutting bait. There is no way that he's coming back at that point in time. They may have another franchise quarterback at that point. Who knows? They might draft one in 2025 draft, depending on how the season goes. It may be 1-15 at the end. 1-16 at the end of the season. Who knows? Maybe it gets to that point. I don't know. But I feel bad for Browns fans. I know there was controversy too because there were clips and more people posted that they were cheering for Deshaun Watson getting hurt, booing at him as he was getting carted off the field. That's another whole discussion by itself because of course him being accused of the many things by many women in his time in Houston before coming over here, even still dragging out into this season as well. So definitely that is a touchy subject that depending on what side you sit on as well. And also too, just because he's been a horrible quarterback, so I'm sure they're probably happy to see him off the field, and they don't have to worry about the fancy week in and week out telling you no, he's gonna be the starter. Well, no, he's not gonna be a starter. He's out for the whole year, so they're probably happy with that as well. Not saying it's right or wrong, but again, I feel bad for Browns fans because this was horribly set up. It is, and this will not be surprised if this costs Stefanski his job. Not that it's fault for his quarterback play, but it's just going from how it was last year, coach of the year, somehow getting the playoffs with I think like 5 different quarterbacks under center to this 1-6. This was not something that was projected. Some people I remember were saying on paper this was probably the best team in the NFL given what they had. You look at the Browns, Jerry Jeudy, he's done absolutely nothing. Of course, that's also because of Deshaun Watson. They just got rid of Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper, as the time of recording, all the 1 o'clock games in Week 7 are done. Amari Cooper had a great debut. I think it was 5 catches, 66 yards, 1 touchdown, on 5 targets and a very limited snap count. So he played phenomenal for the Bills. He's gone. Nick Chubb does come back from recovery, but that's going to take him a little bit to get back to his old self. But this team is falling apart real quick. And most of it's on Deshaun Watson. He's just once again he is not playing well for the money he's given and what he's done. The fall off will go down as I think one of the biggest mysteries or biggest what ifs of what happened to him. It just maybe part 2 is he was just too far removed from the game, being sitting out for a year and then being suspended for 11 games the year after. Is it his attitude? Does he not care? Does he not want to be in Cleveland? He was just there just to take the money. Who could blame him? But it's just once again, it's another story. It's another chapter in this horrible Deshaun Watson era, and it's just going to keep going on. Next year, we're going to have the same discussions. We're going Browns fans are always going to have to deal with it, going through training camp, going to the next season in 2025, and playing absolutely horrible. And then what's going to be calling for Deshaun Watson to get benched. He's probably going to play 6 games and he's going to be out for the whole year after that, and then it's going to repeat once again after that in 2026. And it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate for Browns fans because they've suffered enough of ever since those teams came back. I mean, they've had a few good seasons, a couple of times making the playoffs, but it's just been a complete disaster for them. And this is no doubt this rocked their franchise, given what they've given up and the money they've given out to Deshaun Watson. This sets them back years. It would take a miracle for this to come back together and to be to get back into what they were. If you want to say last year success-wise or whatever you want to call it, but going back as far as maybe not in the 90s before they moved over to Baltimore, it's just the fall from grace for Deshaun Watson is, if you want to say justified because of what he's done, but it's astonishing what he was in Houston at that time. Before the end of the 2020 season, regarded as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, highly regarded, one of the most promising guys, no doubt. From there to this, if you look at in 2020, he had his best career, even though the team success wasn't that great. He was almost a 5,000 yard passer. You look at almost over 4,800 passing yards. He had a 70.2 completion percentage, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The record wasn't good, but he wanted out. And then, of course, the accusations came out. He sat for a year. He came back in 2022, and it's night and day. It's scary of how he's just fallen off from what he was in 2020, amazing quarterback, to average at best. And again, I truly do feel bad for Browns fans because they have to sit here and just watch this week in and week out, and it's only gonna get worse from here. They just gotta get through 2 more seasons of this, and even worse on top of that too is just wasting other people's primes, like especially Myles Garrett. You're just wasting that guy away. That's 2 more years taken away from his career, being stuck with Deshaun Watson and countless others too, Nick Chubb. And some people on the offense line, especially, and also people on the defense as well, Ward and so forth. It's unfortunate, but once again, it's another Deshaun Watson debacle, and unfortunately, once again, we will be talking about him relatively soon again, about the same problem, same thing, same injuries and stuff like that, and we'll see what happens next. But from here on out, for the rest of the year, that's, like I said, only glimmer of hope for Browns fans. They don't have to watch Deshaun Watson anymore, and we'll see who's next under helm, whether it's Thompson Robinson, whether that's Jameis Winston, or that's another option outside the team.